AITA for excluding my stepchildren from receiving inheritance. Throwaway account for privacy. I don't think that anyone I know is on Reddit, but still I don't want this post on my main. I'm 38F, married to 45M. We have 3 kids in between us. We were both married before except that I was a widow and he was divorced. I was 21 when I married my first husband and around 22 when I had my daughter. My first husband died in a car accident that we both sustained and I was left with extended recovery and back surgeries that took place over the course of 4 years after the accident. Our daughter was few months old when she lost her father. And for my husband, he was divorced when the kids were young. My husband is an art professor and a sculptor. I met him when he was an expat in my country contracted for a big art project. He had been in the country with his kids for a year when I met him. I will have to skip a lot of details about our life together to avoid making this post too long to read. Anyway, we got married 9 years ago. We have always been a happy family. We have always treated you all the kids equally up until now. For some background regarding my own family, I have 2 older siblings and I'm very close to the oldest. The oldest has been always more of a father figure to me than an older sibling. When our father passed away, he divided inheritance in form of company shares that he took the responsibility to run, properties, and cash. Despite my middle brother and me being adults, we have always depended on our oldest brother to run everything for us as he is the head of our family. We have the family accountant that handle our affairs and no expense has ever been questioned, including all the expenses related to my stepchildren. My brother is a very kind-hearted man, but he believes blood ties are above any other tie. He made sure that the kids in our family understand the importance of putting family above anything and anyone else, that the kids grew up to be like a mini-clan in terms of their loyalty to each other. My brother discussed with me before that our family sponsorship commitment to my stepchildren ends with him graduating university. Fast forward to when our predicament started. My oldest stepchild was video calling his grandmother about summer plans and expressing how excited he was for almost turning 17 and how he plans to ask for his turning 17 property to be in their home country where he already started applying for universities and how this will help him a lot to be settled after he graduates. The turning 17 property is a tradition that was started by my father when we were around the same age. He would sit down with us discussing where we want to go to university and why, and he would gift us a property in the city where we want to study. My father pushed us to study abroad to find independence away from family care. My brother carried out the same tradition with his kids and my nephews. He even had the same conversation with my daughter, although she is still 16, but he has always given my daughter special treatment since she was orphaned as a baby. I discussed with my husband our son's expectation of receiving inheritance, and although my husband thinks that this is an unreasonable expectation, he still feels very hurt that this whole issue will create discrepancies in our family that has never been there. I explained that getting the same latest gadgets, trips, and lifestyle is something different than getting an inheritance. My husband responded that if he had the means he would get the properties for his kids and still claim it was gifted from my side of the family to avoid his kids feeling like they didn't belong to my side of the family after all these years. I could still fund those properties from my personal accounts to keep the peace, but there is a possibility of my brother finding out, and I know that this will upset him as we had a previous agreement. Updates. Maybe I should include this in my post, but I did have a conversation with my husband before we got married. I explained my cultural background regarding blending our families. Blended families do work in my culture, but with different expectations than most Western countries. Biological parents are kept to an almost holy place that no one would expect a step-parent, stepchild relationship to be the same as biological parent-child relationship. Exceptions are there, of course. My brother has been more of a father figure to my daughter than my husband, as of course he feels she is his blood while my husband is not biologically related to her. I do love my stepchildren, and until this moment I haven't made up my mind on how to handle this situation.